everybody, it's Danny from Empowered Creative, and this is part 2 of our Zoom tutorial series. Last time, if you remember, we kind of went through this beginning interface of Zoom where we talked a lot about how to start a new meeting, how to join a meeting, and then how to schedule those recurring meetings out, and really how to effectively start your meeting, to know which one of those to use in the right times, and to really know how you can be beneficial to those you are sending the meeting links to. Today, what I want to talk about in the next part is I want to talk about, once you're in the meeting, kind of that interface and how everything works together. So let's jump into a meeting here, and this is gonna pop up here, and so you get a couple things here that come up, and I think this is where a lot of people kind of get hung up. They join the Zoom meeting and they either show up with volume and no video, or they have video and no volume. So one of the first things that you can do, especially if you're on a computer or a device, if it gives you the option, you're going to go here and do test speaker and microphone. And as you can hear right now, it is putting out just a little noise that says, "Hey, can you hear the ringtone?" And I hit yes. And then what it wants me to do is it wants me to talk. And as you can see, when I'm talking, the input level is going up. So that's how you know that your microphone is working. So you hit yes to that, and that's a good way to just check. That's a good way to check before you ever get into the room, is by really just going through that process and making sure things are working. So many times in meetings, what I see are people getting into the meeting, people fumbling around. They're already maybe a little bit late to the meeting, and then then they're fumbling around with their audio and their video, and it's just a little bit unprofessional. So this is just something to really help you show up, be prepared, and be ready. So once you get done with that, you can click join with. You can click the join with computer audio. Click it here, and now you are connected. All right. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to kind of talk about these bottom buttons down here. So you got me in two places right now. You got me on the screen. You got me over here. And I'm going to take myself off the screen here real quick just so we can talk about these bottom buttons. So the first button here is the mute button. This is really important. So for instance, for me right now, I have a little bit of a cough. And one of the things that I try to do is, if I feel like I'm going to cough, I try and click that mute button. And when I click that, you'll see on the screen it says you are now muted. And that's really important, because if you're in the middle of a meeting and there's someone speaking, the last thing and the most distracting thing that can happen is someone over here doing exactly what I'm doing, coughing, and just really interrupting the meeting and the speaker. It can be very distracting. We're already super distracted with the way that things have to be. So that's one of the things you can do here is mute. You can also, and a lot of people miss out on these little arrows. If you click on the arrow, it gives you all these options. You can select which microphone you want to use. You can select which speaker you want to use. So right now, this is on OBS Capture because I do some podcasting and we use it that way. But I have some headphones here that I use a lot of times, and they're the JBL. And if I want to take that and take the sound and have it go to here and not come out of my internal speakers, then these are what I use. And I can select that option. Again, if you want to test your microphone and your speaker, that's a great place to do it. So there's a lot of options that pop up, but understanding which ones to select are important. For me, I'm using a Rode Podcaster mic. That is my microphone. For a lot of people, you want to use your built-in microphone because, you're just using a laptop, you're opening it up, just use the built-in one. That's perfectly fine. And that's the same for the internal speakers. You're just using whatever comes with the computer. I have a different setup. I have a lot more going on here because I do podcasting, because I do these videos. But it's just important to understand that. And so a lot of times what will happen is these settings can be messed up. And this is where you can troubleshoot those settings. The next thing here is selecting a camera. And there's a couple of cool things you can do here. And we'll get into that a little bit more as we go along. The next thing is security. So you can click here, and this is really the thing. This is going to show up on the hosts options down at the bottom, but this is where you give people the ability or the inability to do certain things. You can hide profile pictures. You can lock a meeting. Nobody else can get into it. You can suspend somebody's activity. So you have a lot of control here. And really, it's just to help to keep order in the meeting. The next is the participants button. And so if I click here, you'll see over here in the right-hand side, this is where the list of all the people who are in the meeting will show up. And so that's really important. And then if you click this little button here, it says, hey, you can go and invite people. So you can do that there, or, and I'm just going to move myself a little bit, you can go here and you can click invite here. And so when you do that, if you have your contacts loaded into Zoom already, you can choose somebody from the list and then have them email it. The way that I do it, and again, everybody's a little bit different, and that's okay, is I copy the invitation, and then I'm gonna bring my email over here. I'll go into my email, and I will simply Control V or Command V if you're on a Mac, and bam, it automatically pastes that invitation in there. And this is how I do it because, one, it covers all the bases, right? So if you remember from the first video, I said, make sure that you send a link because it's the most helpful for people just to be able to click the link and have everything come up. But it also has, hey, if you're on a mobile phone, automatically comes up with the passcode and the way they can do that. And if they feel the desire to type in the meeting code, they can do that with this meeting code here and then a password or a passcode right here. And they can log in that way. And then I can fire that email off. So I'm just going to move that back over there, but I wanted to show you that because I did recommend that last time, and I think it's super important that you understand how to do the invitation. It doesn't have to be difficult at all. It literally is an easy feature. Copy invitation and paste it into your email. The next feature we have here is the chat. And again, I'm going to move myself, but this chat is here. So when you're in the middle of a meeting and you have a couple options, and unfortunately I'm the only one in this meeting, but this actually lights up blue, and you can click the button and private chat with just another member of the Zoom meeting, or you can talk to everyone in the group. So you can just say, hey, group, and it'll show up for everybody. And this is really important. I know for me, again, I'm in a networking group. It works really well just to be able to communicate with people that way. Hey, great job with your presentation. Hey, thank you. That was really important. Just to be able to use that feature. The next one here is the share screen, and this allows me to share like a different screen. So let's say I'm in a meeting with somebody and I'm talking to them on Zoom, but I want to share. So I have a second monitor here, and I want to share that second monitor. I can click here and click share, and you can't necessarily see it, but on my other screen it is sharing that monitor. And so if I just do it here and say I'm going to share this screen here, you see how there's a box around what's going on here that's letting me know that I'm sharing it. And whoever's in the meeting can actually see my screen here. So that's a super cool feature. So a lot of times what happens, though, is you'll get into a Zoom meeting and people will be like, hey, I can't share. Hey, you need to let me share. And a lot of times I've seen people say, hey, make them a co-host. That's one way to do it, but it takes a lot longer. The easiest way to do that is to click this little arrow and just say multiple participants can share simultaneously. You click that and everyone in the room can share. This is just something that Zoom automatically has set up that only the host can share, and it's a super quick fix. You just click that and it allows you to share with everybody. The next button down here is record. And this is just so, let's say you're having a meeting. It's, right now during COVID, we're having a lot of our professional meetings on Zoom. And let's say you want to record something, record minutes, something like that. You want to record a meeting so then you can transcribe it and transcribe what was said into the minutes. You can record your meeting right there by clicking that button. I would just always recommend letting everybody know in the room, hey, I'm going to record this. Definitely don't want to get in trouble with like recording things you shouldn't. So then we have the reactions. And I want to show that to you because let's say somebody does a presentation and it was really good and you're like really impressed. Click here, and if you look up here in the upper left-hand corner, there's like the hand clapping, like, hey, you did a really great job with your presentation. And so that's a neat little feature, and we do use that again in some of my different groups. And then over here, you just have these some other features, and I'm going to talk about this in a completely different video. This is how you live stream your Zoom meeting and go live with it on Facebook, YouTube, or a custom streaming service. And then finally down here we have the end button, and this, if you click it, this is how you end the meeting, or I'm the host, or you just leave the meeting. So you can do that. It's pretty simple. A couple of the other buttons around here, and again, it's only me in this meeting. But if I click here, it allows me to go into what's called gallery view, where I can have all 4 people up on the screen, or it can just be me, or it can just be the person talking. So I know this was a little bit of a longer video, but I want to go over all of those buttons down at the bottom. I want you to become extremely familiar with them, because understanding how these buttons work are the difference between if you're the host running an effective meeting, or if you're in the meeting and you're somebody who needs to share, being able to understand what you need to do. And if you're just being a normal participant and you're having all sorts of issues with your microphone, if you're having all sorts of issues with your video, knowing where to go over in these areas to be able to adjust the settings to get them to work. Thanks for checking it out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.